I'm joined by Nicole Sheeran and Tim May, 97.1 The Fan, and the Tim May Show on YouTube TV. Let me ask you this, Nicole. 3 weeks in, the quarterback race is what everyone keeps talking about, and Coach Day keeps playing the cards close to the vest, said, they all three have made progress, but, they've had their good days, they've had their bad days. I don't think that's going to end this spring, is it?
No, the reality is we're not going to have a QB1 for a while. That's the reality. We're not going to know who's going to be starting under center, but that's okay because I don't think we should know right now who the guy's going to be. If we did, there'd be another issue here. We've got three guys. You've got Julian Sayin, Tavian St. Clair, Lincoln Keenholz. They're all fighting for that job. But I think more than that is the fact that they're fighting to be QB1, but they're also fighting to prove that they're the leader that needs to have that spot as that starting quarterback. And they've talked about it. I mean, Will Howard was a great example of a guy who can lead a room, command a locker room. These guys have to have that quality for Ryan Day to look at them and say, yeah, these guys are going to lead my team to another national title.
The other thing, Tim, that we need to keep in mind in the world of the transfer portal, you need a backup. And we saw Urban Meyer win a national title with the third-string quarterback. In today's world, we saw all the injuries. It's a tightrope he's walking as far as, trying to keep backups in the room.
Yeah, to a certain extent. But, I mean, when you've got a situation like, you keep bringing up quarterback, and quarterback's a three-man race. But is it really a three-man race? Only the coaches and really the players know that for sure. But you would think the leader coming into the spring and probably leaving would probably be Julian Sayin. But we've all seen Lincoln Keenholz make physical progress just in the way he looks. We've talked about that a few times already on this show. And then Tavian St. Clair, you never know when the light bulb's going to come on bright for a freshman. And some teams have relied on freshmen in that position down through the years and stuff. But yeah, you've got to have a pair and a spare, and they've got a pair and a spare. Now what's the pecking order? And is a pair and a spare going to still be around when August happens? Is the other thing. And so, yeah, it's always a balancing act for coaches these days.
What do you think real quick, what do you think the chances are he would name a starter at the end of the spring?
I don't think he will. I don't even know why you would or should or could. Maybe he could, but why you would or should is the other equation there, because keep people guessing.
Pair and a spare. I like that, Tim. Pair and a spare.
That's an old-time tailback, when there used to be tailbacks here.
Well, yeah, the running backs now. Obviously, we talked to the offensive lineman this week, and, we talked to Tyler Bowen, who's the new offensive line coach, and I'll tell you, they ramped it up in practice, and there is a nasty side. He said we're starting to see the nasty side, the edge that he wants these guys to have.
Yeah, and that's exactly what everybody wants to hear. You want your offensive lineman to have that edge, to get gritty, to be nasty out there. And look, they're going through a lot of changes. I mean, last season they faced a lot of adversity. There was a lot of movement. Now they've got Tyler Bowen in as the, offensive line he's running the show now.
Yeah. It's offensive line coordinator is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, that's what I called him that, and I was like, that's kind of the best way to put it. But they're going through a lot, but I mean, from what we just heard from them, it seems like they're meshing well, they're figuring things out, and yeah, I want them to sit down at that table and say, it was physical out there, he looked like a dog. That's what I want to hear if, I want this team to succeed. That's the kind of stuff that you want to hear from these guys.
And, the other thing, Tim, is Coach talked about how this was going to be a different spring, and the more he said that, it has been, but it comes back. They're to the point, week 3 just finishing up, where they got a lot of young guys here, and Coach even said, so, it's ramped it up. He said it got physical. He said it got a little nasty. It got a little chippy. Yeah. But deep down, that kind of needed to happen with some of these young kids that are vying for playing time. They got they need to replace 13 starters, right?
It's that way on both sides of the ball. I mean, Caleb Downs was referring to that, from the defensive backs, the defensive side of the ball too. I mean, guys are getting after it. It's competitive, and it's so much of a different team than it was this time a year ago with all the guys that came back, and then even the guys they got in the portal, were. You knew they were going to contribute. You could see how they were going to contribute. Now you're kind of building a lot of these things not from scratch, but from material on hand, and a little bit of material has come in. For example, Ethan Onianwa, the transfer from Rice. It looks like he has a good chance of being the starting left tackle. Philip Daniels, a transfer from Minnesota. Looks like he has a solid chance of being the starter at right tackle. That's remaking that offensive line, even though the 3 core guys are back in the middle of that. But I think the competition, especially on the offensive line side of the ball, is key to this team really taking that step and being a contender again. And like you talked about, the nasty aspect of things, you got to remember, when offensive linemen go against defensive linemen, it's kind of like watching 2 boxers come out of the corner, but they do it like 70 times a game. You want them to have that nasty edge to them. You knock out or be knocked out.
And the other thing that I really enjoyed that in our talk with Tyler Bowen earlier in the week is that he likes the depth.
Yeah.
They hit the portal. They got some help there. But, we saw last year depth was huge. They had, the reason they were able to win the national title is guys were able to step up, play other positions. And Tyler Bowen is not hiding from that. He said, if you're going to play at Ohio State, you got to be able to play different positions.
From every position coach, you not only want them to be able to coach the guys on your current roster, but you want them to recruit. And Tyler Bowen has proved that he has gotten guys in the door. He's filled those gaps. I mean, Ryan Day told us at the beginning of spring practice that we have to fill this roster because we cannot just rely on the guys who started last season who are going to start this season. I mean, God forbid an injury happens, something happens. Like you said, we saw it with the offensive line last year. It's next man up mentality, but they have to have that next man up to make sure that those gaps are filled. So from what I've seen so far, I mean, I think Tyler Bowen has done a great job with that. I think he's very good at recruiting. It's obvious from what we've seen. And I'm excited to see how this line really comes together.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to ask you, because in today's world, and Ryan Day keeps talking about how it's going to be tougher with the less players or whatever, fewer players, less
Grammar
players.
police.
Fewer players. Depth is huge, and that's a big concern for him. He's brought it up a bunch of times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's got to be quality depth. You got to be able to count on people with 105 limit to your roster. Now everybody thought, well, that's a lot of players. No, it's not in college football. I mean, the NFL has obviously the waiver wire and everything else. They can fix things in the middle of a season. But yeah, the funny thing about it is Oni Anwa and Philip Daniels, the 2 guys I talked about earlier, they came in, when Justin Fry was still here as the offensive line coach and stuff. And so there's been a real melting pot to this, just the offensive side of the ball, offensive line side of the ball, when you can figure, a couple of the assistant line coaches that have come in here, Charlie Dickey, Marcus Johnson. They can now, as we know in the modern day, all these guys can coach and stuff. And Tyler Bowen has said it's important that everybody be speaking the same language, the same words coming out of their mouths and stuff. But that really helps you accelerate the progress of your offensive line room when you've got that many quality dudes doing the coaching.
There you have it. Tim May, 97.1 The Fan, the Tim May Show, and the one and only Nicole Sheeran. There you have it.